How to win as House Lannister in the Game of Thrones board game. If you're playing House Lannister, you're starting in one of the most dangerous positions on the map. Greyjoy is sitting right next to you. You know how dangerous they are. Baratheon can pressure you from the east. And House Tyrell is waiting directly south of you. So there's that. And because you're sitting right in the middle of the board, in the middle of the map, eventually almost every house can become your enemy. But here's the thing. House Lannister, it may start in a terrible position, but that position can become one of Lannister's greatest advantages. Because a good Lannister doesn't conquer Westeros by attacking everybody. You build your strength first. You manipulate your neighbors. Pit them against each other. You wait for somebody to expose themselves and then you strike. For example, once Tyrell turns its back, you could strike them. And their capital's right there. You can pit Stark against Greyjoy. In this video, I'm going to show you how to play House Lannister and survive Greyjoy. How to use cards like Tyrion or Kevan Lannister and to take advantage of the Messenger Raven, which is the most informational piece in the game. I have 2 opening strategies that you can use in the first round, but first, let's get into it. 5 things. Contain Greyjoy early, especially by getting your ships into Sunset Sea. Using the Golden Sound to support your troops on land, and raiding Greyjoy's naval support. Protect Riverrun definitely. Protect Lannisport. If you lose Riverrun early, this puts Lannister in a dangerous position. So protect it at all costs. Use your navy in the Golden Sound to support Riverrun. That's number 2. Number 3, the Messenger Raven. Putting down risky orders and then using the Messenger Raven to change the orders once the orders are finally flipped over. The Messenger Raven allows you to do that. Number 4, use house cards tactically, particularly Kevan Lannister against cards like Balon Greyjoy, who, yeah, we all know what Balon does. Watch my Greyjoy overview video. Use Tyrion Lannister to disrupt your opponent's strongest card. So if you're going against Greyjoy and they play something like Euron, you can use Tyrion Lannister to make them switch the cards out. That's number 4, the house cards. Number 5 is building strength in the center, mustering consistently, and accumulating supply to field larger armies and collect more power tokens placing tokens down like this. And wait till Greyjoy, Baratheon, and namely House Tyrell to expose themselves in an opening. Your first problem is Greyjoy. Before you start thinking about King's Landing or conquering Highgarden, or like half the board in general, understand this. Greyjoy is your immediate problem. If Greyjoy is allowed to build momentum against you early, Lannister can get pushed backward extremely, so protect Riverrun. And the territory you absolutely do not want to lose, Riverrun. Once Lannister loses Riverrun, you're on the back foot. So your early game needs to make attacking you as inconvenient as possible for Greyjoy. One of the most important territories for doing that isn't even on land. It's the Sunset Sea. Take your ship, move it from the Golden Sound, and move it into the Sunset Sea. Get behind Greyjoy. Now here's where this gets interesting. If possible, you can place a muster token in the Golden Sound and put 2 more ships in the Golden Sound. This gives you a very annoying naval setup for Greyjoy. Your ships in the Golden Sound can help support Lannisport and Riverrun while your ship in the Sunset Sea can continually raid Greyjoy, trying to support its troops on land. You can raid them. Eventually, Greyjoy is probably going to get tired of you doing this, and they're probably going to take their navy and storm into the Golden Sea using Victarion, the greatest house card in the game for navy. So because Greyjoy is now spending more money on ships in march orders and house cards fighting you at sea, instead of throwing everything they have at Riverrun, you're forcing Greyjoy to fight a war that you want them fighting. Plus, House Stark marching from the north. Think about that. Anyways, your house cards are about timing. Lannister doesn't have that raw combat deck that Greyjoy has. Greyjoy has the most raw, strongest house card deck in the game. But Lannisters, their house cards are more tactical and more flexible. The two cards in particular that can completely change battles if you know how to use them are not the two strongest ones. Sir Gregor Clegane can kill 3 soldiers in one battle, and he's at a 3. Tywin Lannister has a 4, and he's powerful. Kevan is an excellent surprise card because he only has 1 power, and he's particularly useful when dealing with Balon Greyjoy, because Balon Greyjoy's ability, you see that? Yeah, that's reliable. So even if he uses that, Kevan's strength isn't reliable, but his source of power is using footmen and putting them at strength number 2 instead of just 1. So don't look at Kevan and think, when can I get the most points? Or think, when can this card completely ruin my opponent, what my opponent thinks is about to happen? Like, that's how you play Lannister. Also, don't waste Tyrion. Tyrion Lannister. Do not waste him. Tyrion is one of the most tactical cards in your entire deck. I wouldn't rush to use him, but Tyrion is especially dangerous later in an opponent's house card cycle. Imagine Greyjoy has already burned through their strongest cards. Now what they have left, you know what they have left, and you can use Tyrion to force them to return the card they wanted to play. So that can force them to use a stronger card at a more inconvenient time, or if they're down to the final card, Tyrion can completely interfere with the bonus they were expecting from it. And Tyrion becomes even nastier against situational cards. For example, if Greyjoy attacks you at sea and they play Victarion, that's where Tyrion can completely throw a wrench in their plans, because he can force Greyjoy to put Victarion back and to pick a weaker card. So that's Tyrion. He's a massive disruption weapon. Anyway, now, so the Messenger Raven. The Messenger Raven alone, you're guaranteed to start with it as House Lannister. You might not keep it forever, but while you have it, use it aggressively. The Raven gives you information and flexibility, and that means you can make moves that would normally be too risky. Here's an example. Put a consolidate order in power order in Riverrun. If Greyjoy decides to attack you, you could be in trouble. But this is the thing. You've got the Raven. So when you flip over all the orders, the Messenger Raven allows you to switch out. And you can put a defensive order there and throw a wrench in their plans with just that. Or change your order to a march order, because you're second place in terms of turns and movement on the Iron Throne track. So think about that. Like, you can move before Greyjoy. You can do similar things while looking for opportunities around Blackwater Bay or Crackclaw Point. You can look at what Baratheon is doing, look at what Tyrell's doing, and just find the hole. And then you can just adjust. Lannister also acts second in the initial turn order, so combine that position with the Messenger Raven, and you have something extremely valuable. Information. Use it. After Riverrun, where do we go? What do we do once we occupy Riverrun? Your castles don't last long, and Riverrun is an obvious one. And Harrenhal is right next to you, so it's another straightforward target. But that one's harder to hold too. Things become much more complicated. But remember, the Sunset Sea position we established earlier gives you another possibility. Flint's Finger. So if you're successfully raiding Greyjoy from behind, their ability to defend that area with support from the ocean becomes weaker. So that's a tempting target. Could be. You can potentially work with Stark against Greyjoy. Temporary Stark-Lannister alliance can help put pressure on Seaguard. But remember something, you're Lannister. An alliance doesn't necessarily mean you're friends forever. If Stark commits forces against Greyjoy and moves away from its supporting position, pay attention. Because after the battle, Stark may have no support, no useful order, and forces sitting somewhere vulnerable. There may be an opportunity to immediately march against them. That's the advantage of being Lannister. You're not committing yourself to one enemy for the entire game. You're watching for whoever becomes vulnerable. Because generally speaking, a strong Lannister usually means a weaker Greyjoy. And a strong Greyjoy usually means a weaker Lannister. If you win that early struggle, Greyjoy can find themselves in serious trouble. Especially because Stark becomes stronger later in the game. Stony Sept is more important than it looks. It can be used as an economic base for collecting, power tokens, or it can become a military base for support, a fist of support that surrounds all these territories. You can support Blackwater from this territory. You can support 3 different strongholds from this territory. You quite literally can put a fist of support inside Stony Sept. It's a central position. So when you grab a valuable territory like Blackwater and get them valuable supplies and need to defend 1, 2, 3 different territories, including the Sea Road marches, all of these territories are very valuable. This is Lannister's territory. They need to put powerful units in Stony Sept. It can help your economy. It can help your military network. Lannister can have a well-oiled machine right here in the center of the board if they just play their cards carefully. And don't just throw your army at Crackclaw Point. Let me just give you a nice bingo. Once Baratheon is established here on the east, attacking Crackclaw can become a nightmare. Baratheon can support it from both Blackwater Bay and Shipbreaker Bay. So instead of smashing your whole army heavily into a supported Crackclaw Point, make Baratheon think you're going there. Muster forces in Harrenhal and make it look like you're going to attack Crackclaw Point and then look somewhere else. Like, for example, King's Landing. So, King's Landing doesn't receive the same level of support as Crackclaw Point because they can only support it from Blackwater Bay. That's Lannister game. Don't attack the castle everyone knows you're trying to attack. Make them prepare for one attack, then hit them somewhere else. Then we have House Tyrell. Go south. You hold Sea Road marshes. Do a chain march. Put a march order here and a march order here. And then when, let's say, Tyrell has their back turned and they only have 1 unit inside Highgarden, you can go boom, and then later on in that round go boom and seize Highgarden. This is how Lannister is supposed to play the game. You're defending your border. Nothing unusual. That footman sitting there can become much larger later in the game. And it can end up becoming a problem. It's about holding the territory and creating the network. So that right there is Lannister. Any questions, please? I've been waiting to do this video for a long time. So, yeah. Any questions, please let me know.